under the umbrella of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and natural language processing. So in line with that, we'll continue the further discussion on how this algorithm is going to be suitable for different types of data. So basic agenda of this session is to cover about how data is coming from different sources. जो भी data रिसीव होता है different वेबसाइट से, फिर सेंसर से, in a single click से. So that data, how we are going to store, how we are going to process through this type of data science. Every algorithm is having their own potential, advantage and disadvantage. So we'll cover up that in the further discussion. What exactly the individual type of data science algorithm will do with our data set. So the first, let's say classification. With the classification, we can classify the data in terms of trues and false. So whenever we receive the data, we need to perform the analysis of the data. But before going to do the analysis, we need to understand what expected outcome I'm looking from data, or what particular insights I want to find from the data, whether it is related to any sales forecasting based on certain parameter. So whenever you want to predict the data in terms of classified format, for example, whether the customer will buy or not, this is the prediction whether customer may buy the policy or may not buy the policy. So it's true and false case is there, or it may be the case that whether a student will pass or fail in the exam. So it is classification, that yes or no, or true or false, or zero or one. This type of data set we can solve with the help of classification technique, and the different machine learning algorithms there in the classification, that is decision tree, neural network, Bayes theorems, some data mining rules, KNN algorithm, DB scan is also there. N number of algorithms are there in the classification. Through that, we can take decision of the particular data set. So that is the main role of classification in the data science. Then the regression. Whenever the data set is very small, or we are taking the decision on same kind of a data, that type of regression is preferable. There are two type of regression. One is linear regression, another is logistic regression. Both are will take the independent and dependent parameter. We'll see the detailed implementation of each and every type of data science throughout the syllabus. Because we have to go into the depth of classification, regression, time series clustering, and association analysis. So basically, regression is to predict the numeric target label of a data point. So whenever we have that time itself, that data consists of target label. For example, this is my data set which consists of n number of records, and these are the attributes 1 2 3 4 5 up to 10. Let's say 10 attributes are there, and the final attribute is classify, final attribute is output, or final attribute is decision. So this output will be based on this 10 attribute. So certain values of this attributes we can use. For example, if I'm store the student information, यहाँ पे student का data set होगा, और it consists of name, roll number, and their marks, M1, M2, M3, and the second, third year marks. Based on these marks, we can calculate the average, or we can calculate the grade of the student, and based on that we can classify how many students are having higher second class, how many students are having in first class, how many students are in the distinction. So that particular last attribute output is the predictable. So that comes under the regression. So this is responsible based on this input. So these all are the dependent variable, and this is the independent variable. So this is required for the regression. Moving ahead, that is anomaly detection. So different distance we have to calculate in certain problem statement. For example, I just put it in terms of graphically format. So there is a customer data of, let's say, insurance, and there are two group of that data. Group is consists of age between 30 to 10 to 30, and other is 30 to 60. So let it be, this is 60. So I'll get a two cluster having the data range is from 10 to 30, and other range from data is 30 to 60. So this one element is there which is not lies between the first cluster or second cluster. So this is the outlier of this information, because that cannot be belongs to this information, it not belongs to this information, which is not nearest to this cluster, also not nearest to this cluster. So such a kind of problems, distance based or density based problem, we can solve with the help of anomaly detection. Then time series. And separate algorithms are there for time series, that is ARIMA. Every character is having stand for certain purpose, that we'll see in the unit number 4. So it will predict the value of target variable in the future time frame based on the history values. So what are the historical data we have that we can use to take the decision? And time series is preferably used in the sales forecasting. The first and the most important benefit of this algorithm is sales forecasting, which is the expected outcome of the data science. In clustering, we have to form the cluster and we have to solve the problem. So this is all about one more is association analysis. We can collect the data of the different commerce application, and based on that we can do the association analysis between the different domain. So whole data science syllabus now consists of these are the basics are required in the syllabus. These are the core algorithms. That core algorithms are different as per the types of data science as mentioned: classification, regression, clustering, and these are the common application of that algorithms that we'll see in the further discussion. So these are the different jobs are available in the data science, that is data scientist, business intelligence analysis, database developer, database administrator, data analytics manager. So after completion of the course, you can able to get this job set either in terms of internship, either in terms of career. Now we will start the actual discussion. Big data. What exactly the big data? How the big data has been coming through the different sources, and how we are going to categorize that data for the processing. So big data is a blanket term for any collection of data set for large and complex that become difficult to process them using traditional data management system. Whatever the discussion we had in the database management system, it is related to relational database management system. Elements are organized in terms of rows and columns, or maximum one application consists of 10 table or 15 tables are there. But if there is a case where 1 million tables are there, which are coming from different locations, different sources, at that time we cannot handle it through the RDBMS. तो वहाँ पे हमें कुछ अलग टेक्निक यूज करना होगा, and that technique is called as a big data. So it's classification technique. So that is a variety, different variety of data. Value is getting with user amount of data, and that value for data is again of different. The next is velocity. At what speed the new data is generated. At what speed the data is generated. If I'm looking about some social media platform, the data is generated at very large speed, and every minute number of videos I get uploaded, either in YouTube, either in Instagram, either in Twitter, either in Facebook. So the speed of the data generation is large in the social media platform, along with, let's say, banking application also as well. Every single minute there is a data generation, or we can say the example of, let's say, CCTV. At every second it captured the images, whether the person is there or not, but it captured the continuous images and converted it into the video files. So at large scale the data is being generated with a high speed. A number of applications are there where the velocity of data is there. As I given the example of e-commerce application, with, we can say, social media, or we can say the healthcare application, where the Every medical device is generate a lot of data, like your MRI scan, CT scan will generate huge amount of data with high speed. So the TVs are clear to everyone. First term is volume. This is my volume. Variety, structured, semi-structured, unstructured data. Speed, at very last speed the data is receiving from the different sources, maybe through the sensors or maybe through the person or maybe through the machines. So this is the velocity. Now veracity, this is very important when you use that data in a machine learning algorithm. Veracity, these three terms are common in RDMS or in the big data, but in RDMS data as well as the structured format. In big data, data may be structured, unstructured or semi-structured format. तो अभी हमें उसको प्रोसेस करना है. So veracity is very important. How accurate is the data? Once the data at our end, we need to verify it. But if we don't have the knowledge of that domain, then we cannot verify whether the data is accurate or incorrect. If the data is not in the readable format, then we cannot process it to check whether the data is accurate or not in an accurate format. So quality and the accuracy of data is important when we operate that data through the machine learning techniques. So that gathered data may consist of some missing values. It may have some inaccurate data. It may not provide the real-time data. It may generate the fake data. For example, I want to solve a certain application of, let's say, in my organization, 1,000 employees are there. In my organization, 1,000 employees are there. I don't have the data of the employee, and I want to perform the certain operation or certain task of the data. But right now I don't have a data. So in turn, there is a library known as a faker. This is the particular library which will generate the fake data in large amount. If I want 1,000 records, I can generate it through this faker package. So this kind of a data we can generate to this faker library. We can see the library. Next is now coming to the veracity. Now data is coming, but some data is maybe missing. Some data may have don't have the real values. Like I give you the example of faker. From that library we are collecting the data, so that data is not real. It is actually hypothetical data, and what are the value inside it? It may be correct or maybe incorrect. So there are three possibilities are there. Data is missing. Data is missing. Data is not real. Just I write NR, not real. And data I don't have an accurate value. Don't have the accurate value. So with the help of these three aspects, we'll check the veracity of the data. How accurate is the data? Unless until we get an accurate data, we cannot process it properly. Suppose this is only rows are there, I'll get the data, but this complete row is empty, then that data is useless for solving the application. For completion of this veracity, then last term is value. Now value is the last aspect which the data, big data can provide. So volume, variety, velocity and veracity. इसमें किसी को डाउट है फिर हम डिस्कस करेंगे वैल्यू के बारे में. चारों भी समझ गए सबको?
Yes, sir.
And every piece is related to big data. Every piece can contain data. I'm talking about the value. Now when we talk about the value, so volume, variety, velocity and veracity is directly proportional to this value. So if any organization is having certain data, that in terms of volume, in terms of velocity, in terms of veracity, once we get the data, whether that data will give me a significant attributes to find the insights, that is the value. If the data is not giving me the significant amount of insights or attributes to take the decision, then data is useless. For example, if I'm operating the organization data, and I want to find out the average salary of my employee, then that data is a value. But if I am using the organization employee data to check the student marks, then that data is don't have any value. So what are the data we operate that have the value? So it belongs to the same application, or the same attribute should be there, so that we can gather and analyze the data. And that data should be unique. There should not be any repetition in the value. If the repetition is there, then what are the data we are collected, it is again useless. So these are the 5 characteristics of the big data that we have to be approach while solving the each and every application. So we can list it out each and every application that consists of volume of a data, variety of a data, velocity of the data, veracity, and if these four V's are true, then that could be directly proportional to value. So if the volume of data is very small amount, like in 1 MB, then definitely variety is also having either structured or unstructured, so very sorted. And the velocity, if it is a structured, then don't have that much velocity in the data. If it is unstructured, then we have the high speed velocity in the data. And definitely if it is structured data, then veracity is accurate, so that will get a value. But when it is unstructured, by looking at the data we cannot take the decision, so we have to perform the operation on the data. This captures if it is not true in the data set, then how we can operate it. Just a minute, I'll give one example. अगर वो मेरे पास अभी है तो मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ. Yes, I have this file. So ये आपका Infosys Spring Board का file है. Okay. So these are the number of users are created. From this data, I want to find out the incorrect mail IDs, which is given by that portal. Invalid email student. So what sort of things I need to apply? Right from the record number 1 till the last record, I need to scan every mail ID, and we have to be check the string completely. There should be certain string is there, and then @ should be there, and then domain name dot there com or in or whatever the domain is there registered under the portal. So that should be there. So likewise, this large amount of data is processed directly within a fraction of second. I'll get the outcome that few members data is incorrect. So this is the one of the information is there where the data is completely value, because I want to find out the invalid mail of students. Suppose from this data, if I'm finding these students belongs to which college, all information is common and similar, so there is no any value of this kind of data. So how you have to perform the operation on your given data set. So this is important. And one more thing, if these all characteristics are false in my data set, suppose I don't know the volume, I don't know the variety, I don't know the velocity, veracity and value of the data, then also you can approach to solve the problem, because that data is been processed through a certain technique. This is not in our hand at what volume data is generated, what variety of data is there in my data set, what is the velocity of data, what is the veracity of the data, and what is the value. It is completely not the hand of the developer. This is just the characteristics of data. If it satisfies, we get the result as early as we can apply the efficient algorithm of data science on the data set. But if these all attributes are not known to us, then also we can perform the operation. So both ways are possible. If you know the details, we can apply the algorithm. If you don't know the details, we need to do a certain analysis first, and then we can apply the algorithms. So I think it's very clear now, characteristics of big data. Any doubt?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So data science is having these 3 emerging role. As I said in the first session, you have the strong knowledge of mathematics. Now we'll go into the detail of this facet of data. Now once we understand the characteristics of data, then the facet of data, that is structured, unstructured, natural language, machine generated, graph based, audio, video, images, and streaming. So this data is available in the different formats. That is structured, unstructured, language, and so on. So now we need to understand the type of structured data, type of unstructured data, what exactly that natural language data. One by one we'll see. So can anyone give me the example of structured data? Is any example of structured data that you know?
Any table.
Any relational database is a structured data. So if I'm taking the attendance of your class, I know the roll number 1274 and I just go to mark it in as P or A. So this information is a structured data which is completely available in a tabular format in terms of rows and columns. This is an example of structured data. So many applications consist of this structured data, but the data size is small in the structured data. Data size is very small. That data is called as structured data. Tabular data, structured data. Now talking about the unstructured data. Can anyone give the example of unstructured data? है किसी को पता?
Live streaming.
Okay, live streaming, good example. Live streaming is an example of unstructured data. Other than that,
weather data.
weather data. How it is unstructured? Weather data कैसे होगा unstructured? It depends on the parameter. Definitely it is unstructured, but what parameters you are selecting for the weather data, that will decide whether it is structured or unstructured. I'm just taking the temperature of city or a state, then it is structured. But if I'm applying some geographical values on that weather data, then it is an unstructured format. Moving ahead, for example, one person is talking to another person. It is an example of structured, unstructured, or natural language.
Natural language.
Natural. So now I'll just extend the concept. These two persons are there, and one is talking English and other is talking in French language. And this person knows the French, this person don't know the French language. Can this person will understand? No, it is not possible to understand that French language. So this natural language processing we have to perform through the algorithm and convert into the understandable format. So that's why the input of one type of data we have to convert into another format. So this is an example of structured data, live streaming data, or your Gmail data is an example of unstructured data. Natural language data is this. Whatever the discussion is going on between the people is in an appropriate format. Many examples are there in the natural language. Certain rules are there that we can add in the natural language. Machine generated data. तो कोई example देगा what kind of machine generated data?
It may be object code.
It may be code. Can we use that code in machine learning algorithm?
Code in the sense binary data.
Binary data. Any example?
Sir, QR code generated data.
QR code generated data. Okay. QR code. Machine generated data means what I want to say here, that whatever the data is generated, that data we can use for further analysis in the data science. So that
Call
data
record.
will be call record. Very good example. This is call record. This is a perfect example of this machine generated data, call recorded data. We can list it out many examples. Like, for example, I go to some hospital and I just do the ECG of my heart. Certain report is get generated. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Try to understand this concept. That ECG data is get generated, and that particular person will give me a slip of that data. Once I go through the structure of that data, can I understand what exactly is happening in my heart? Samajh? Guide you about what sort of things are required, what precautionary measure need to be taken on this report. So this machine generated data we can use to take the decision. So every time the doctor availability is not there, in rural areas doctor availability is not there, so this machine generated data we can pass to the machine learning algorithm, and we can find out the insights, and whenever the next time the same data is been coming, immediately we'll get a result. That is the example of machine generated data. Another example of machine generated data is CCTV. We can identify criminals through this footage. So machine generated data can be useful to take the decision. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this kind of data is more important in the machine learning algorithm. So this structured, unstructured, and natural language is coming through this process. It's coming through this sources. We cannot give the specific example of structured, unstructured, and natural language. Now machine generated data is unstructured data. Graph based data is unstructured data. Audio video is a natural language data, and the streaming data is again unstructured data. So this machine generated graph based audio video and streaming data is been categorized into structured, unstructured, and the natural language format. So first we are completed, that is machine generated. So hope everyone understand that what kind of machine generated data I'm talking in the data science application. That machine generated data used for taking the further decision. Nowadays so many technologies are available where the machine will take the appropriate decision, like your biometric system. Once it will identify your face, and then your attendance is get marked. It's also inbuilt in the door as well. So once you able to recognize the face of that particular owner, and then door is get open, otherwise door is not open. So that machine generated data take the decision. Okay. Now graph based, इसमें किसी को डाउट है मशीन जनरेटेड डेटा में? अभी क्लियर है सबको मशीन जनरेटेड डेटा?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now moving ahead with graph based data. ग्राफ बेस्ड डेटा कहाँ पे यूज होता होगा और क्या एप्लीकेशंस होंगे ग्राफ बेस्ड डेटा है? किसी को पता है?
crime rate,
यस यस.
Social media. All
Social-
social media uses this graph base.
ओके.
Stock market.
crime rate,
सोशल मीडिया, वेरी गुड. सब लोग आज इन्वॉल्व हो गए लेक्चर में. वेरी गुड वेरी गुड. सोशल मीडिया डेटा, स्टॉक मार्केट,
monitoring number of COVID cases.
monitoring the number of COVID cases. So it used in the healthcare. Fine.
Yes.
Great.
Internet speed.
Yes. Internet. So I'm not getting. So social media platform, stock market, healthcare. This some of the application where the graph based data is generated. Every day we are using Google Map. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
So to the location. So Google Map is also the example of this graph based data. It identifies the specific route and it will redirect you to the source to destination. So Google Map is also the example of graph based data. This will use to take the decision. So whether that data is structured, unstructured, or in the natural language format. So definitely that data is not in structured format. It is either in unstructured or in the natural language format. Sometime it is in the natural language, sometime it is in unstructured, depending on the application we are using for the graph base. So all social media handles are using this graph base. If I give the example of, let's say, Facebook. Just drop this. This is me in the Facebook network, and this is my network. So he is having these friends, and I'm not Or suppose this has not been connected because it is in other side. Okay, this is not a connection. Sorry. So these are the 5 people on the Facebook network. It's me, and I'm connected to these 3 people directly. These are my 3 friends. So 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm not directly connected to this person 4, but the Facebook recommended me this person because I am the friend of this person. He is the friend of 4. So this recommendation is possible through this graph-based architecture and algorithms are using machine learning to recommend that particular person about this friend request. So this kind of analysis is called as a graph-based analysis on the data. Coming towards the example of, let's say, stock market. Different stock prices are increases and decreases every day. So on the graph basis, we can take the decision 52-week high and 52-week low. Calculation based on the graph, we can check whether we can buy this particular stock or not. In the healthcare, we can monitor different applications in the healthcare, and one more is the Google Map. These are few only, not all the applications we are covered here. Graph applications. Many more applications are also there which can store the data in the graphical format. Now coming towards this next kind of data, that is audio, video, and images. So everyone knows that this audio, video, images data is there. But to retrieve the information from this audio, video files is too difficult. Suppose I want to remove the background noise, or I want to just capture the background noise of the audio files. Then we have to apply certain technique. Once we identify that background noise, then I have to do the analysis. I have to verify that noise is of which person. Then we can apply the machine learning algorithm. So audio, video, images data are available in every platform. Probably we use the YouTube as a video platform. On YouTube, every day a number of videos are there. And these videos has been rated by using machine learning algorithm. So whenever you visit this YouTube website, you can find multiple videos are there in the left or right corner. This is based on the performance. So machine learning algorithm is going to be executed in the backend, and it will rate your video, it will rank your video in the video portal. This is one example of that audio, video, and images data. Streaming, it's an online streaming, and number of new channels are there that stream the data, which is unstructured. That is also could be one kind of data. Now, considering all these facets of data, not structured, unstructured, natural language, we just focus on machine-generated, graph-based audio, video, and streaming. Whether that all the type of facet of data satisfy the characteristics of 5 V's: volume, velocity, veracity, value, and variety. Yes
Yes,
or no?
Yes, sir.
So see now, it is connected. Characteristics of V maybe or may not be, it depends. But जो भी हम अभी facet of data देख रहे हैं, वो definitely satisfy करेगा. All type of this application will satisfy the characteristics of big data: volume, velocity, value, variety, and veracity. Now we have to focus one by one on these applications of the data. That is, or we can say the facet of data, machine generated graph based. अभी हम वो आगे देखेंगे किस तरीके से हम उसको प्रोसेस करेंगे. So we'll just need to understand the process of data science. अभी हम इस facet of data के ऊपर data science का life cycle या फिर process किस तरीके से apply करेंगे. There are certain steps are there for every application. Maybe it is a machine generated, or it is a graph based, or it is audio, video. You have to follow the data science life cycle for each and every application. And this life cycle is common for artificial intelligence, it's common for machine learning, it's common for data science, it's common for natural language processing, it's common for deep learning, it's common for RNN, it's common for CNN. Now these are the 6 common steps for data science.
त्याला मेसेज करू का मी? त्याला
Setting
मेसेज
up the
करू का?
research goal. We'll explore this afterwards.
Then the
What
middle.
exactly in the research goal, or what I mean to say, the research goal. Then retrieve the data. Once you decide your research goal, then retrieve the data. Then prepare the data to process it, then data exploration, data modeling, and presentation and the automation. So first of all, we have to set up the research goal. We will take a very simple example, very simple, which consists of only structured data today, and then we'll move ahead with unstructured data as well as machine generated data in the next lecture. Today we'll see a very simple application of student database, which is in terms of rows and column data or a structured data. These 4 attributes are there, and attributes, let's say roll number of the student, name of the student, address, and the date of birth. These 4 attributes are there, and 3 records are there. roll number, name, address, the students without applying any data science life cycle. किस तरीके से आप लोग फाइंड आउट करोगे इसमें उसका एज?
ते तो बंदच आहे ना
एनीवन?
बाजूवाल्याचं
And date, line, date.
हाँ.
कोणाला?
सबस्ट्रॅक्ट
काय
डेट ऑफ बर्थ
की वायफाय चालू करा असं
get age of person. So for that purpose we
तू कशाला
don't
चालू
require
कर
any data science algorithm or data science process.
अरे
but-
खोरे साले एअरटेल वाले
I don't have the Excel sheet. I don't have the data in a SQL format. I just have this data in the CSV or in the text file format, where the 1 lakh records of the students are there, or 2 lakh record of the students, or all students who belongs to Pune University data is there. So that time it is difficult to process. But when it is in small application, we can easily handle it. So the research goal for this problem will keep the same problem, which is very simple problem as a data for the data science, but we'll discuss this. So I want to find out age of the students through this information. तो
एअरटेल
रिसर्च गोल क्या हो गया अभी यहाँ पे? मुझे स्टूडेंट के एज फाइंड आउट करने. सो व्हेन आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द रिसर्च गोल, इट इज नथिंग बट द एक्सपेक्टेड आउटकम और इनसाइट्स फ्रॉम द डेटा. जो भी डेटा सेट आपके पास है, वो डेटा से आपको एक्सपेक्टेड इनसाइट्स क्या फाइंड आउट करने. सो फ्रॉम दिस डेटा आई वांट टू फाइंड आउट एज. एज वन मोर थिंग हियर आई वांट टू मेंशन दैट देयर इज नो एनी एज एट्रीब्यूट इन द रिलेशनल टेबल. जो हमें फाइंड आउट करना है वो उस टेबल के अंदर नहीं. सो दैट इज माय रिसर्च गोल. माय रिसर्च गोल कैन नॉट बी लाइक आई वांट टू फाइंड आउट नेम ऑफ द स्टूडेंट.
इंस्टॉलेशन भी फ्री
I want to find out name of the student is not my research goal. I want to find out address of student is not a research goal. I want to find out roll number of the student. It cannot be a research goal because that data is with me. So retrieving the data is should not be the research goal. Finding the insights from the data is the research goal. तो यहाँ पे हमने एक small goal set किया. I want to find out age of the student. So I think it is clear that the step number 1 किस तरीके से हम research goal set करेंगे. Or one more example here.
दुसऱ्या एअरटेल
Let's say in SBI Bank, in the last month, 50,000 people close their account. So what is the reason they close their account is my research goal. I'm not able to find out who is left my bank. I'll just call to person and ask why you close your account. So that should not be the research goal. Research goal is to find out insights why these people are churning from one bank to another bank. That could be the research goal. So first of all, we have to set such a research goal in the data science process. Once I set the research goal,
तू रिक्वेस्ट
then
डाल
I'll focus on the data. Once my goal is finalized, I want to find out age of the student. Then we will retrieve this data in the step number 2. It may be possible that data set or database or Excel sheet contain a value inside it. It is not every time true that all the records are completely filled in the data set. Sometimes it's having some missing value, sometimes it's having some garbage value, sometimes it is all the row values of the records. So we have to first retrieve the data. So in the step 2, we have to collect the data only. You can collect the data from one source, you can collect the data from many sources. As I said in the last gen, to prominent source of data where you can get the data of all the domain almost, that is data.gov.in, that is the official government website where you can get the database of a number of domains, and one is Kaggle where we get the data set either in CSV, JSON format. Once we retrieve the data, then we have to prepare the data. Data preparation is an important task. anyone can set these two steps. We can set the research goal of our choice. We can get the data from different platforms, but whether that data is having value, whether that data is contain certain proper records inside it, if it is not, then that data is useless. So data preparation required two analysis. One is EDA and another is PCA. It is exploratory data analysis. We have to explore the features which is inside the data set. So in that case, we will find out two aspect: independent variable and dependent variable. We'll go deep into that जब हम step 3 discuss करेंगे. एक just हम overview कर रहे हैं अभी simple application का. So for that we'll just know about these steps. तो step 1 सबको clear है, step 2 सबको clear है. Step 1 step में किसी को doubt है? Step number 1 and 2 में
No, sir.
No, sir.
data question. EDA, PCA are the two things that we will perform exploratory data analysis and principal component analysis PCA. So both are used to prepare the data in an appropriate format for exploring the feature which is inside the data. So this technique we have to apply. Certain algorithms are there. Central tendency is one of the things. Mean median mode is there. Correlation is there. Covariance is there. Certain mathematical terms are there that we have to be applying on the step number 3. So the mathematics is involved in the step number 3, where we have to prepare the data to find out the insights. So that is the step where mathematics is involved. Step number 3 only. Moving ahead for next step, data exploration. Once we perform these two steps, that is EDA and PCA, then our data is in the proper format, and from that I will find out the relationship between the terms. So I have to find out the relationship between these two terms. I can find out the relationship between these 3 terms. I can find out the relationship between these 4 terms, whether they are related or whether they are not related, whether they are correlated. And through that we can explore the features of the data. So that comes under the data exploration. And once we explore the data, then we can apply the machine learning model. So this modeling is nothing but applying the machine learning model to train the data. So training and testing is there. Train the data and test the data through the machine learning model. So we'll design a model. That model comes under this different type of data science. So these are all models, and we have to select the appropriate model to take the decision. So data modeling is applying the machine learning model on the specific data. So data modeling will cover n number of algorithms, and out of that we have to select only one, or we can comparatively use 2-3 algorithms to take the decision. And finally, once the model is test or train and test, then we can find out the accuracy of that model. If the accuracy is greater than 70%, then definitely that model is perfectly applicable on the data. If I'm not getting the accuracy more than 70%, then that model is not good. So we have to again use some other model to train and test the data, unless until we get the 70% of accuracy, minimum 70% of accuracy, and then we can present that data in a graphical format to understand the stakeholder, because user is interested to find out the age. So I just want to present the data age of the students. I'm not interested how you retrieve the data, how you prepare the data, how you explore the data, which model you apply. Expected outcome is that age should be displayed. So your client, your stakeholder is expected to get this outcome, not other than these processes. So when you choose your career as a data scientist, this is the backend things that you have to apply on the data, and your client or customer is expected in the presentation or presentable format. So I just getting the expected outcome, which is in the graphical format, like a dashboard. Like we are using Google every day. We are not going behind it. What sort of modeling is in the Google, or what sort of modeling is there in the Instagram or Twitter. We are just seeing the friend request and we are just communicating with our friends. That is the our role. That is the presentable format of the application. So I hope you understand this data science process as a whole.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Any doubt you can ask, otherwise we will conclude today. Over. So to summarize this session, what we discussed today: 5 is and the facet of data, and finally data science life cycle, steps. So 3 terminology we are discussed today. 5 is facet of data and data science process. So tomorrow we'll continue, or in the next lecture we'll continue with the step number 1 only. So in one lecture we'll discuss one step only. So I think 6 lectures are required. So we'll try to cover it in 3 to 4 lectures. Because step number 1 and 2 is quite easy. From step number 3 to 5 it will take a time. And step number 6 is again quite easy. So 1 to 6 step number will take very less time other than this 3, 4, 5. We'll discuss in the next lecture this 1 and 2. That is the agenda for the next lecture. So any doubt you can ask, otherwise give your attendance. Roll number 1, 2,
Present, sir.
1,
Present, sir.
2,
Present, sir.
3,
Present, sir.
4, 5,
Present, sir.
6,
Present, sir.
7,
Present, sir.
8,
Present, sir.
9, 70,
Present, sir.
1, 2, 3,
Present, sir.
4,
Present, sir.
71 present, sir.
49
present, sir.
Sir,
3.
71 present.
1,